Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, so you will be able to see now the whiteboard. So in the last class, what we have done, I told you about the influence zone. So before I go and explain that, I want to quickly give you a problem so that you can solve very quickly. Let's say this is the circular tunnel. In some P naught and K P naught environment, this is P naught and this side is K P naught. And let's say this point is A, which is right on the boundary. This point is B, right on the boundary, and this is 90 degrees. Let's assume we did some measurement, and we found sigma theta theta at point A is 3 times of sigma theta theta at point B. So can you tell me what is the value of K? Quickly, you tell me what is the value of K. You have those equations what I have given last time. So this is the radius A. So here the condition is R equals to A. Okay, in that equation you have to put this R equals to A. So you tell me if R equals to A, what will be this? Sigma theta theta at A. What is the equation? Then it will become can anybody tell me? This one will become P naught 3 minus K. Okay. And this one will become P naught 3K minus 1. When you use this R equals to A, and in this case theta equals to 0 degree, and in this case theta equals to 90 degree. When you apply this, then at the boundary, this is become the tangential stress, and this become tangential stress at point B. So now you will be able to estimate the value of K. So this is one of the example of calculating the that stress factor K. And I am sure Professor Varma has told you about how to calculate both the parameter P naught and K, or maybe all 6 parameters. I think he must have while in situ stress that chapter he must have told you, and you will see the formula he has used is this formula. Okay, so right at the boundary we normally measure the values. He has told you a thing called flat jack. You heard of this?
Yes, sir, very much.
Flat jack method?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what is that flat jack? Now in that what you have done? You have made a hole, a slot like this, and you have inserted a flat jack. Do you know what is a jack? Have you seen a jack?
No, sir.
No? Anybody?
Sir,
Never seen a
you
jack?
get tire.
Tell me. Just describe the jack. how does it look? Have you seen anybody fixing the tire? Let's say tire got flat. He's fixing the tire. Huh?
Yes, sir.
How did he put the car up?
He used metallic some metal cylindrical type of thing, and
Huh?
there is a hole in that, and he rotate that hole by
Huh?
putting a rod in that.
Right. That is also a jack. That is the
Screw
frictional
jack.
jack. Yeah, it's a screw jack. It is working with the friction. Now, have you seen or gone to any car repair shop? They put the car on top through a hydraulic cylinder. Have you seen those? This is a little sophisticated car repairing shop, maybe some dealer where the dealer is normally fixes. You will see they lift the car with a hydraulic cylinder, and that is basically hydraulic jack. Okay, but it's a cylindrical shape. Now this one is flat, so that means what it is. Uh, I'm just explaining to you because it is maybe it was told before. So there will be, it is operated by hydraulic fluid only. There will be two plates like this. It is not cylinder, it is plate, and inside here is basically the fluid inside here, and this will be perfectly sealed. So this may be cylindrical or sorry circular shape if you see the from the top, or it may be square or rectangular. Okay, it may be this like this also. Okay, that is what I'm saying. You see from the top. So inside there is a fluid. Now the fluid line comes up and there is a pump. Okay, let's say I have a manual pump and I have a gauge here to measure the pressure. Now if you do it, upper niche, then the fluid will go inside and this will be pressurized. So now this we call flat jack. It's just like a jack you have seen. Okay. Now here it is used to lift the rock. Okay. Whatever it has deformed, we try to lift it back to its original position and then find out the stress. Because if you are putting it here, the moment you have opened it, there was a deformation occurred and we are trying to again put it back. So we again give a pressure in both directions so that whatever the deformation has occurred because of this P naught and K P naught, we are trying to put it back. Now since it is in this direction, we are measuring the stress in this direction. It's always normal to the plate. Remember that. We are always measuring normal to the plate. So when we are inserting the plate like this here, so this is we are measuring this stress. So this is basically become our sigma theta theta. Now here if you want to measure, this plate will be placed like this so that we are measuring this pressure, and that is also sigma theta because here this is the sigma RR. Okay, so sigma RR is 0 there in the boundary, so there is no point of measuring it. So we are measuring this. So in here you have to put it like this. If somewhere in here you want to put, you have to put it like this so that we are measuring this direction stresses. So always the tangential stress we measure by the flat jack. Remember that. Always the tangential stress we are trying to measure. Okay. So that is how we measure, and then we get these values, and from those values we calculate the in situ stress parameter. So we are measuring the induced stress. Remember that. this P naught into 3 minus K, this is the induced stress. This is the induced stress, and in situ stress is these two. So from the measurement of induced stress, we are calculating the parameter of in situ stress. Okay, when we are doing it from a opening, but there are, I think Professor Barma Master told you that there are some other method, hydrofracking or hydraulic fracking system, where we measure it in a undisturbed area and we directly measure the in situ stress there, not from the in situ stress. We can directly measure also. Okay, so nonetheless, this is how this equation works. The Kerr's equation works, and we can calculate the in situ stress parameter using the Kerr's solution. Okay, so this is where it is its application. Now let me go to the influence zone. Now before going to the influence zone, let me write the equation of equation for sigma Rr. This I have given you last time, but I am writing it again. 1 plus k 1 minus a square by r square minus 1 minus k 1 minus 4 a square by r square my plus 3 a to the power 4 by r to the power 4 cos 2 theta. Okay, you remember this equation? Now, if I ask you to take a limit r tends to infinity, can you tell me what it is? So very simple limit. Just tell me what it is. P naught by 2 1 plus k minus what?
P naught into K finally will be.
You are not able to see?
So final answer will be P naught K, I was saying.
Yeah, but that there is a cos 2 theta. You cannot directly write that this.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
So this is what is if I take a limit. Now what do you mean by r tends to infinity? So from the tunnel, so r is far away, right? R is far away. Now do you see what is this equation? Anybody can see what is this equation? This has been told to you before in a other form, but it has been told. Can anybody see what is this equation? Nobody can see it. Okay, let's say my P naught is sigma yy. Okay, let me draw it here, then maybe you will be able to. Let's say this is my P naught and this was K P naught. Now mind that my tunnel may be far away, okay? And this is a very small element here. It's a very far away. This is my tunnel and it is very far away. So if I can write it, so this one will become, first I write with this, P naught plus K P naught by 2 plus, I am changing it, K P naught minus P naught by 2 cos 2 theta. Now if I change P naught as sigma yy and K P naught as sigma xx, so this becomes sigma xx plus sigma yy by 2 plus sigma xx minus sigma yy by 2 cos 2 theta. Now you see what it is? Have you seen this formula before? with another one plus tau xy sine 2 theta?
Yes, sir.
Huh? What was that equation?
Yes, sir. Transformation.
Stress
That's a
transformation.
transformation equation, right? So what we are essentially telling you is, basically this is nothing but in this direction. Transformation means in this direction, okay? Whatever the theta direction is. Whatever is that sigma RR in this direction. So it is transformed. So when R is far away from this, it is basically a stress acting along this direction. Similarly, if you do the sigma theta theta, it will be perpendicular to this. It will come like that when R is far away. Okay. Now we will find out how far away it is when it will come like that. Okay, that is where is the influence. But what I am saying, if R tends to infinity, this become like this. So that is that the stress get transformed and it is along that radial direction. And if you do the sigma theta theta, it will be perpendicular to that radial direction. So it will become the tangential stress. Okay. Now, if I want to use it, okay. Now, at theta equals to 0, if I put now, I take it out, it is just to show you that it is the same equation. Now, if the theta equals to 0, then what happened? This one is, let's say we put it here, 0. If theta equals to 0, then what this become? This equation. 0 means along this line, remember that. Can anybody tell me? Theta 0 means 1 and 1 means K P naught.
K.
Yeah. So you got back your K P naught at theta equals to 0. So that means this equation is very well written. Now similarly, if you do the 90-degree case, and if you do the sigma theta theta, you will find that it will be P naught. Okay, sigma theta theta I am not showing, but you can try it out at in your home. So that means we are at the boundary if R tends to infinity, means we are in the in situ stress. So this, my point of telling is, this equation, although it is a induced stress, but when R tends to infinity, it is basically in situ stress. Okay. Now the question becomes, do I have to go all the way up to infinity to say it is a in situ stress, or somewhere in between I can say it is already, for all engineering purpose, it is already come to a in situ stress condition. Now to do that, this is what we do, or what we do in engineering. We call it engineering approximation. Okay. Now, what we are doing is, we are saying, okay, let's assume sigma induced minus sigma in situ. I give a mod value. Okay. This divided by sigma in situ. I put some percent, let's say some d percent, that this is the error. I agree. If this is, let's say 5%, within 5% error, then it is fine. So R equals to infinity, these two is exactly the same. I showed you just now. So this difference d will become 0. So I will write d by 100. So if R equals to infinity, d must be 0. But I'm saying no, I do not have to go all the way up to 0% error. I can live with 5% error. So if this induced stress is come within the 5% of the in situ stress, that is fine with me. Okay, that is fine with me. So if I go by that, then I can write a equation. I can write the induced stress equation of sigma theta theta here. So I will write sigma theta theta of induced. This is induced minus sigma theta theta of in situ, and then sigma theta theta of in situ is equals to 0.01 D. Now if I do that, I get a equation. Every time why it didn't start. So I get an equation. I'm just directly writing the equation because this is also given in the book, so you can see that. Means before that there is a step. I'm just bypassing that step. So this comes 1 plus k a square by r square minus 0.01 d plus 1 minus k cos 2 theta 3 a to the power 4 by r to the power 4 minus 0.01 d equals to 0. This equation will become something like this. So the in situ stress sigma theta theta in situ stress is P naught by 2 multiplied by 1 plus k plus 1 minus k cos 2 theta, something like that. Whatever you can get it from there. Now this equation becomes something like, so you can see this is a highly nonlinear equation of R, and I am looking for that R for a particular D, whichever you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with 5%, you put 5. If you are comfortable with 10%, then you have to put 10. So then this equation, then we can solve this for R. Now solving this, you can see it is a highly nonlinear equation. So it's a little tedious. You have to use a iterative method. And do you know any iterative method of solving this? It has already been told in your numerical modeling mathematics class. Can anybody name one method? How do you solve a highly nonlinear equation iteratively? What is the method?
Can we use Taylor's?
What?
Can we use
Okay.
Taylor's here?
Okay, there are many methods, but you have heard Newton-Raphson method.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is one of the best method. One of the best. I think there are many others there. Newton-Cotes method is another one, but nonetheless, then there are also methods like bisection or something. But you can use Newton-Raphson to solve this. Okay. So I give you a little less challenging. Let's put k equals to 1. Sorry. Let's put k equals to 1. Then this equation comes down to 1 plus k, or sorry, this will become 2 a square by r square, and let's assume this d is 5. But we normally go by 5%. So 0.05 is 0, right? So I can find this is nothing but a square root of 20. Okay. For k equals to 1, with 5% error, if I assume, so I get a R value, which is the influence zone, is about a square root of 20. Now, what is the square root of 20? How much it will be? About 4 point something, right? Okay. So let's assume I go all the way up to 5, because there is no point of saying some point here. So if this is my A, so I must go to a radius which is 5 times of A. Let's assume I'm going all the way up to 5 times. So up to this, if I go, then my in situ stress or induced stress is already coming close to this error, is about 5% error. This is what I am saying. This is my in situ line, let's say, and this is my induced stress is coming, the sigma theta theta, and this is sigma theta theta in situ, and that is induced. So I'm already coming close to 5% of error. If I go more or less, even less than 5%, if I go about 5 times of A. And for any engineering judgment, 5% is very good, 5%. Means we can say we have already reached to in situ. I do not have to go all the way to R equals to infinity. So it's just 5 times. And this is a very interesting feature of Mother Nature, that it's very quickly we can come down to the in situ stress. Okay. So this entire, you can say now, if k equals to 1, this is for k equals to 1, remember that. For k equals to 1, so this is about 5 tenths of the radius. If I go, then we are already close to the in situ. So this is the disturbed zone, or we call the influence zone. Okay. So if you have to make another tunnel, you should be at least another 5A here, and your another tunnel may be like a, here is also 5A, at least. So you must be at least 10A away from this, means each other. So if you are going to make 2 tunnel, I'm not sure how many of you have traveled to through a tunnel by vehicle or by cycle or whatever, or bike. Have you gone through a tunnel?
Yes, sir.
Or by railway you have gone. Now sometime you will see 2 tunnels side by side. Okay. So now you know the distance must be at least 10 times of its radius. Okay. At least. It should be more, but at least if somebody has to do. Now the question becomes, if somebody cannot do that, then what I am saying is another influence zone is something like here, influenced by this, and influenced by this is this. So they are just matching. We should not, always remember that we should not try to, overlap the influence. Okay. If we can do it, it's the best, not to overlap the influence. But if we have to do, there is no space. Okay. And let's say in a mountain area, there is no space, but I have to make 2 tunnel. Then there will be overlap, means I'm deleting that, means I have to make another tunnel very close to each other. And then definitely it will overlap like this. Okay. So this particular area is pretty much, vulnerable, because this stress will be enhanced, uh, and as a result we have to take a special care or special support, and that's why you sometimes see there is a complete concrete support. They completely take out the rock material and put the concrete, because they have overlapped. Their two influence zone has overlapped. They know it has overlapped, and they have to make a special support system. Otherwise, this may not stand for long. Okay, because stress will be enhanced. Now, let me tell you how it will be enhanced. Okay. Let's say I have one tunnel here and another tunnel here, and they are outside of the influence zone. So this one will have, we have seen this one will have the sigma theta theta like that, and let's say somewhere here is the in situ stress, and this one has, and this is where is the in situ stress. So if I see a line here, the stresses are like this. So we are nice and fine. So this is basically we call the pillar area. You will know later on the pillar. So between two excavations there is a pillar. Okay. Now you have made this one here. Okay, close to it. So what will happen? Not only this one will also be little bit enhanced, because of influence of this one will come, and also influence of this one will also come. So both of them now will join hand and the stress will increase. Okay. So this particular area, this is again this pillar area. So you see this pillar will get a very high level of stress, and that may not be sustained by this material, whatever the material here. So that's why we remove that material and put some artificial material, or we strengthen it by lining or some other support. I will come to that very soon. So you understand why this influence zone is very important, and we must understand why this thing happens, and how to handle it and what to do. That you will know later. The support and all this stuff you will know in your third year. In your that applied rock engineering, you will know much detail about the support and everything. Okay, so I hope you understand the effect of influence. That's why in DMD, you will see in DMD, they say they already told you about the shaft. You already know about the mine shaft. They told you how to go to a ore body, how to reach to a ore body. Mine shaft.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Around
Good. At least some person is paying attention in the DMD class. So mine shaft is a vertical tunnel, if I may say. So shaft can be inclined also, inclined at 60 degree or 70 degree. You know how many ways you can go underground? The shaft is one, and this has two parts. One is vertical, one is inclined. Any other way you can go underground? What are the other way? Anybody can pick up?
Edit.
Okay.
One is zigzag type.
Then
Crosscut.
what?
Crosscut.
No, crosscut after you reach there. I'm saying from surface you go underground. How many? What are the other?
Ramp.
Ramp is also from one level to another level. This is in underground only. Sometimes they make a big ramp in some mines they have made. You heard of something called incline? In coal mine they use it. In metal mine they call it decline. Okay. More or less these four ways we go. Now you try to know what is incline and what is decline, okay, properly. Okay. One time I asked a student and he said, sir, when we go underground, we use incline. When we come up, we call it decline. Okay. But that is not the definition. Now, decline is there also in on the surface. You have seen the ramp they used in some railway station. You know, one is staircase. Okay, when you come to railway station, you go by the staircase and you come up and then again come to the platform by staircase. Another is, if you see in some railway station, there is a zigzag path, but it's like a ramp, but gradually it goes to the up, so that you can push your luggage very easily. Have you seen those kind of platform, those kind of railway station? From the outside, there will be a ramp, but not in one vertical plane. Okay. And let me give you an example. Let's say staircase. You are going up to the fourth floor. Now, instead of the stairs, you have a ramp. Now, you can see that you cannot put this in one vertical plane. See, you go up at some floor and then you turn almost 180 degree. That is another vertical plane. Then you turn again, that is becoming another vertical plane. Now this is what is basically the decline. Okay. When you cannot put in one, or you cannot draw it in one vertical plane, okay, that becomes decline. So that normally not circular shape, it's normally D shape, but incline you can draw it in or you can put it in one vertical plane. It's just one ramp going from the surface to all the way down wherever is the coal is. Okay. So incline is normally used for coal mine, and decline is normally used for metal mine, because through decline the tire mounted vehicle goes. Okay. So metal mine is very sophisticated. Equipment are used. So that's why decline is required, and this angle is very low, 7 degree or 8 degree maximum. Okay. This is just a information for you from DMD. So why I am telling you all this, that whatever excavation you do in rock, whether it's incline, decline, shaft or adit, everything need to be checked through rock mechanics, whether it passes or not. That means whether it is stable, or not stable, whether we require additional support or we do not need additional support. Okay, so any excavation starting from shaft, adit, incline, decline, you will require rock mechanics. This is the starting point. Okay, that's why I am telling you all this. Now, the last topic of today, I want to tell you this. If Cart's solution, this is, we already know that here will be P naught and there will be K naught, right? And this is radius is A. Now, I have given you the solution without any support. Now, let's say I put some supporting pressure here. We call it internal support pressure. We termed is PI. I will let you know in the next class what type of supports we normally give. Maybe I'll show you the picture also. But right now, you assume that we put some lining material or some supporting material here, which is giving a pressure to that boundary so that it doesn't collapse. And they are uniformly given. Okay. If this is the case, then we normally write it like this. I'm just making it now a little bit small. This can be written mathematically, also can be written. I'm just writing in pictorial form. This can be written as here PI, 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 everywhere is PI. Plus, there is a big plus. This is P naught minus PI, and this side is K P naught minus PI. Okay, and sorry, this were also PI. So what I have done, this particular configuration, this particular configuration, here is P naught, here is K P naught, and inside PI, I have written as, here is PI, remain the same, and all around PI plus, this is a big plus as I am telling you. This is P naught minus PI because I have already taken that PI here. That's why P naught minus PI. This is K P naught minus PI, and there is no support pressure here. Okay, and this is also there. So we can divide it like this. Now, why we are doing it? You see this one, this becoming my Cart's solution. Okay, I can now do, because Cart's solution say if there is no internal pressure, I have a equation. Okay, so this can be now written as, let me show you here. So if I write sigma RR, this will be PI, the first one is PI, simple, plus this one I will write now, P naught minus PI by 2. You see now, this is P naught minus PI. And wherever was K, I will write something called K dash. I'll tell you what is K dash. And this will be 1 minus A square by R square, just like same, minus 1 minus K dash, 1 minus 4 A square by R square plus 3 A4 by R4 cos 2 theta. They remain the same. Similarly, you can write sigma theta theta with Pi here and then plus similarly this you will write. Now what is this K dash? Is nothing but K P naught minus Pi by P naught minus Pi. This ratio. this divided by this. Okay, just like the cars told us to do, so we are doing it. Similarly, you will write all the other two equations. So these equations will be very generalized with PI, with the internal pressure. Now, if PI is 0, it becomes the original equation. Okay, and this is mathematically also proved and given, I think, given in the book also, and in some appendix we have added this. So only thing here, K dash will become K P naught minus Pi by P naught minus Pi. Okay. Now, very interestingly, you will see if K equals to 1, then K dash and K is same. Okay, it doesn't matter. That's understandable because both direction it is Pi and P naught, so it will not matter. Okay. So what I am trying to tell you, with pressure, if there is an internal pressure, then the equation just slightly changes the way I told you here. Now I can do a very small problem for you. Very quickly, I want to do a problem. Let's say the original P naught is 10 MPa and this one is about 5 MPa.